the key to resiliency is another leadership competency, which is vulnerability.
Mhm.
And when you're vulnerable, it's risky, especially when you're starting out. To allow yourself to be vulnerable just can be frightening because
Right.
people can judge you and you don't know where it'll go.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, and welcome to Business Focus, produced by the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. My name is Angela Inzerillo with Impact Business Solutions, and I'm privileged to be a host as we highlight the great work our local businesses are doing. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, please hit that subscribe button so you can get notified of all our upcoming episodes. And then at the end, if you want to like, comment, and share, we would love it. We are growing our subscriber base. Well, if it is your first time here, I'm very excited to introduce and welcome the lovely Miss Karen Cleveland with Cleveland Coaching Group. Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Angela. Great to be here and always good to see you.
Always good to see you. Hey, it's been a while. This is the first time you're on the official podcast.
That's right.
Podcast. They didn't have this back in the day when you were president, did they?
They didn't have this, but we did go into the studio and do a show that we called Market Street because Reston Town Center was just opening.
Oh my gosh, very good. Well,
Yeah.
let's get started. We're really excited to talk about our upcoming women's leadership event. But before we get started on that, why don't you just share with the folks a little bit about your background and kind of how you're engaged with the chamber, because it's just a little bit.
Yeah, just short term. I've been so thrilled to have been involved with the Reston Chamber since the very beginning. And I was the first CEO back when Reston was still a very, very young community. And what's so interesting about the chamber is it has really stood to the test of time back to its original vision, which was to be a chamber of commerce that focused on building a resilient business community that supported the overall community, not just the businesses. And I think that's what really sets it apart. And the Reston Chamber to this day is still the best true networking environment. So I was fortunate to be the first CEO, and then I went on to other things and then came back and served as chairman of the board a few years ago. So now I'm just a regular member, and I've had a long career running nonprofits, and now I'm doing my own consulting, training, and leadership coaching.
Fantastic. Yeah. And you were doing a small stint at Leadership Fairfax, which turned into a little bit of a longer one, right?
Well, again, another great organization that I was involved with from the beginning of time. And so what could be better in both cases than really working with dedicated individuals who really care about each other in the community. So yeah, I was going to stay 2 years and I stayed 8. So it's a thriving organization that is dedicated to developing community leaders. So once you're involved with either one of these organizations, you're involved for life. I just am not sitting in the CEO
I know,
chair.
I've been told.
I know.
I'm 15 years and counting, but yeah, we're so excited to have you here. And I'm really
Thank
thrilled to bring back our women's, we'll call it our women's council, and kind of focus on leadership. I'm really thrilled. And I'm really glad I called you up kind of with looking for some inspiration for our next event. And then of course pulled you in, and now you're moderating our next event. So yeah.
Which is the best. Right?
Which is very exciting. Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. So the next topic in our series, for anybody that may recall, we did our event back in June, women's leadership, women leading social impact. And it had such a great impact, right, on the folks that attended. And we got so much inspiration and so many people that were excited. So we knew that we were really talking about so many different topics. So we said, hey, what will our next one be? So that's, again, you said the word resilience. That's why we're here. And there were so many, there's so many different conversations, so many different angles. So let's get into it. But it's women's leadership series, right? Women leading with resilience when life can get tough. It gets tough and they don't want to talk about it, right? So life is always tough. I know we say when life gets tough, and we've talking about this, right? Because life is tough.
It's
and
always.
When we talk about the stories of these women, the stories of our panel, it's really when life is tough. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about it. So yeah, I pulled you in.
I do appreciate that. I mean, I love this work. Of course, I'm a leadership junkie. And I happen to be a woman who, I cut my teeth during a very
Yeah.
difficult time for women,
Yeah.
where many of us felt like we had to act like men. I shouldn't say we, because I never really felt that way. And, speaking of resilience, back when I first was the CEO of the Reston Chamber, the big thing was work-life balance for women, because, and this is still pretty true today, that women who have careers are still typically the ones running the household and taking care of the children.
Right.
And back in the day, it was definitely the case. So there were all kinds of seminars for women on, how to have this work-life balance, and, you should be a little more like a man and learn how to compartmentalize. And I'll never forget the day. It was the chairman of the Greater Reston Chamber was a woman, and she said to me, "I think they've got it all wrong. I think the secret is to fully integrate your life with your work.
Hmm.
And then it just will be seamless." And I will tell you that that was like the weight of the world off my shoulders. I was already working weekends to try to balance
Yeah.
everything out, but somehow as a woman, we, or most women, feel like we have to do more in order to be successful, at least certainly through my career.
It's interesting that you say that too, because I was in a very male dominated industry, but I didn't really realize it. I was all
Mm.
about working hard and making money. And so, but I was surrounded by men, right?
Yep.
Did I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a household. I have two brothers, Italian father. So I was very strong and dominant with the men in my life, but a very strong woman, my mom, who worked from home and took care of the family. But I felt like she really had the strength in it all too. But yeah, I don't know how much has really changed in what we expect of ourselves. So I think it really is really what we put on ourselves as well.
Yeah, and I do think it's, of course, very helpful if we have strong women role models. And if our mothers are that way, then, that gives us a huge head start. I did a speech a number of years ago for mothers and daughters, and my daughter just happened to be coming into town. And she's an attorney, and at the time she was maybe 30 years old. And she said, "Well, can I sit in and listen?" And I said, "Sure." And then I was doing Q&A with the audience, and all of a sudden I see this hand come up and my peripheral vision, and I was like, "Oh no, it's my daughter." And she said, "Am I allowed to say anything?" And I said, "Sure." And so she actually spoke to this one mother and daughter, and who had a couple of daughters actually. And she said, "Please listen to her." So this is my daughter, who you would think growing up in today's day and age wouldn't be hit with some of the same challenges that I did. But she said to these women, "Please listen." She said, "I grew up believing that I could do anything and that I could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got out into the world and people tried to tell me I couldn't."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was a rude awakening for me. So I had to find the confidence and, back to our topic, the resilience to be able to believe in myself in order to push through that and to be successful. And now she's got all
Well,
the confidence in the world, so she's doing great.
and you're right about confidence. And we were deciding what our next topic would be. We did. We talked about mental fitness. We talked about resiliency. We talked about strength. We talked about leadership. Does strength bring leadership? Does leadership bring strength? And one of the things, and you know this, and you welcome it, and we'll talk more about it. But this group, we're coming together and trying to bring
Yeah.
topics that are authentic, right? It's not just the same old trending conversations. We want to have engagement. We want to be able to follow up with real conversations and real people. Hence the reason our
Absolutely.
fabulous panel has come together with great stories. One of the things we look for, and yes, we could have the fabulous, all of the big name companies on our panel, and we had that for our June event. This one I would say has a few more gems, hidden gems. So I'm
Yeah.
really thrilled to bring their story to light and to share how they were resilient and some of the, I don't want to say tips and tricks, the ways that they got through it in their own way. How did they figure it out? Yeah,
Oh
so
my
let's talk more
gosh.
about the
Well,
panel.
Angela, all three of them are so
I
different and their stories are so different.
Yes,
But
yes.
the key to resiliency is another leadership competency, which is vulnerability.
Mhm.
And when you're vulnerable, it's risky. there's a lot of risk, and especially when you're starting out, to allow yourself to be vulnerable just can be frightening because
Right.
people can judge you and you don't know where it'll go. But in this case, we have three incredible panelists that couldn't be more different from their storied backgrounds.
Yes.
But they, oh my gosh, they are so resilient. So Liz Bloomfield. So Liz actually represents two organizations, Ripple Effect Images, which is a storytelling company. And then she has a coaching business called Energized Impact Coaching. But Liz served in the British Army. She served in Iraq. She did a lot of work in Chad and in India. And the stories that she has of really helping people through the most difficult times, and to be able to find her path as a woman. And I would say as a woman who is not, when you think of military presence of a larger presence, she is a petite woman who is, first of all, brilliant. And she has been able to use both her personal strength and then also what she brings as a woman in order to be successful in all of her work overseas. So, oh my gosh, the stories she has of resiliency and, meeting some of the people in the worst situations who were able to inspire her and inspire others. So I know just being in Liz's presence, people will be so inspired and learn so much from her that they will be able to take back.
For those of you that may remember, she actually moderated our event in June, and she was fabulous at pulling out what we were doing to impact the community from our panelists. And when we were going through, and remember, we were talking about the topic amongst a few of us planning, and it just was like, no, Liz, you don't need to moderate this. You need to be on. Sorry, you need to be on the panel. So thrilled to have Liz on the panel and be one of our stars.
She's got great stories.
Oh, yeah.
The next panelist is Robin McDougall. And Robin cannot put all of her titles on a business card. This woman is something else. So, I know, isn't it crazy?
True.
So she has incredible stories. She's an African-American woman who made her way in business. And she, like you, Angela, just said, she just plowed through, worked harder, worked smarter, and didn't let anybody tell her that she couldn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she arrived at a different season in life. And what she really wanted to focus on, what she was searching for, was a new way to teach skills to young people. But she wanted to make it interesting. So she did an environmental scan and thought, what's trending right now that is fascinating, that we could get young people involved with, that they might not be thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And she chose aerospace. So think about how young people might say, what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be an astronaut. But then they don't follow those dreams. So she has used this whole concept of aerospace as a new way to really talk about STEM literacy. So she's the founder of Pearl Project Institute for Innovation in STEM literacy. And then she took that one step further and she started an organization called Interstellar Dream Space Center. And it was just a dream for her a couple of years ago. And then she started partnering with George Mason University and the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. Next thing you know, she has even opened an entire space to put the Dream Center. I mean, she's phenomenal from taking this dream and this concept straight through to fruition. You talk about design thinking and making it a reality. She's incredible.
Oh, I love what she does with her programmings, and she talks about critical thinking and
Oh,
just so smart, and the impact on the way that she has about her, right? Where the students, I've watched her. She did a summer program in Reston, right? For the space, for the students, for the kids,
mhm.
right? So they came into a facility in Reston Town Center, and they had a space camp, but it was more, they had jobs. They actually had jobs that wasn't just astronauts. It was all of the jobs in the economy that impact the space world. So very,
Absolutely.
very exciting stuff. She's working on some great things, but yes, she's got a lot of stories that I know in our prep when we talked about got me so excited to get this, to get her on the panel and have a conversation about it.
Well, and you just were, uh, I don't even know if you use this word, but you were describing it, is her leadership presence. And
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
three of these women have very different but
Yes.
striking presence that I think right from the beginning, people will just be drawn in to who they are as individuals and as leaders. And then, of course, when they hear their stories, it will just open.
100%. 100. Yes. And so the third panelist, very excited to have
Yeah.
just met her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Katie Klesby, and she is the founder of Rexburg. And Rexburg is a marketplace for recreational activities. So it's designed for busy parents and individuals to have a one stop shop to find recreational activities. So it really is think of it like a DoorDash from a
Yeah.
technological standpoint, you go to
Mhm.
one place and you can find everything that you need in your community. And you can sign up for those recreational activities right there on this app. And I'll tell you, her story of resiliency. I mean, she had a dream and a thought to start this business. She was not a tech person. So she
Right.
found a partner to help her. And then the partner tried to work around her and, quite frankly, steal her platform. So
Mhm.
she had to fight for that, and she had to learn how to be technologically savvy. And by the way, this is a woman who got her PhD while going through chemotherapy, while training to be an Ironman. I mean, you talk about strength and
Oh,
resiliency.
yeah.
She is unstoppable, unstoppable. So I can't wait for everybody to meet Dr. Katie.
Yeah. I think it's going to be hard to contain us in that hour and a half that we with Q&A and all the networking. So I am thrilled I'm just thrilled for this topic and to have people show up and participate and learn and hear the stories. And again, it's all about continuing the conversation too. So what are some of the
Absolutely.
logistics before we sign off here?
So it's a
When are we
morning. There
expecting?
will be
Yes.
time for it's October 8th.
Yes.
There will be some time for networking and then about 90 minutes with the
Yep.
panelists. And then if it's the same as last time, people will hang around
Yeah. We had to
and
get
talk
kicked out last
more.
time.
So we'll make sure that we can make that work for everyone. So they can go to restonchamber.org and go to the events page and register there and find out all the information about it.
Who
October
would
8th,
you
right around the
Oh yeah,
corner.
it really is. It really is. That's why we got it on this week's episode. Who do you think who do you think it's meant for? Let's talk about who should be there.
Well, I would say it will inspire anybody that feels like they need a dose right now. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people, we're still stuck in a little bit of the post COVID culture, if you will. I do a ton of work right now with businesses and organizations around that. They don't always know it's their culture that's struggling a little bit post COVID. But when I
Hmm.
ask about their pain points, it always comes up, that it's about recruitment, retention, how do we deal with hybrid work environments, those kinds of things. So I think there's still an exhaustion, even post COVID, or
Oh
an
yeah.
adjustment that's going on. So I think this will really help inspire anyone and everyone, whether you're just starting out or you've been working for a lot of years. And by the way, not just women. We would welcome
Exactly.
men. Absolutely.
We
Absolutely. Love to have you guys.
100%, 100%. Yeah. And as you may remember, our last event got sold out. We actually had a cut off registration. So we had over 90 people there. So we're hoping to fill the room again this time. But Karen, I am thrilled that you're leading this. I mean, you're the absolute, again, in our prep and having a conversation about this event, it was a natural that you would be pulling together these women to have the perfect conversation. So I can't wait. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
So
Well, it's an
again,
honor for me to be facilitating this wonderful panel.
and I know you are a very busy woman now that you're kind of on your back doing your coaching. So just taking the time to be back here and supporting the chamber, of course, and doing what you're doing. But I know you love it.
I do.
And we
Absolutely love
just won't let you get away. So we
it. Good.
appreciate it. So it's all great. So thank you. And so we look forward to having you on October 8th. Again, go check out the website, restonchamber.org. And we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Karen, for being here. We'll see you soon.
Bye, Angela. Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Stay in touch with us for future episodes. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.